Tales from the Trials, the dog sports podcast about everything and anything you can do with your dog. So you started with NADAC because that was just essentially the first trial you went to.
Yes.
What makes NADAC so different? Because I know we talked about like bonus boxes and stakes
Yes.
and grounders and all of these terms that like you don't hear if you aren't in NADAC, and it's
Yeah.
like, what is the language?
Um, so what makes NADAC different? Well, what I think makes NADAC different is will be different than what someone else tells you makes NADAC different. Um, but from my opinion, what makes NADAC different, in addition to what I've said in part one about the focus on the dog's welfare and longevity, um, in terms of lower jump heights, and some different programs that they have that can allow your dog to train longer or not have to do um, as many high impact activities, but still engage in being handled and running. Um, for example, like also Andy has a jump height exemption in NADAC, which he doesn't get at any other venue because he's part Basset Hound and his front legs turn out. And also they do it based on a height to weight ratio as well. And that's in the interest of allowing dogs to continue to perform and not have as much high impact, but have a long career. Um, so that's one difference. And you see that also in the games classes that NADAC offers. So when we talk about games, so in part one, I mentioned Natch classes, Natch being the NADAC Agility Trial Champion Award. And that's their championship title. Natch classes, to get a Natch, you have to have so many cues in what they call regular, which is what others call standard or agility. You have to have a certain amount of cues in jumpers, and you have to have a certain amount of cues in the chances class. And chances is a distance challenge. At the elite level, you have a minimum of a 20-foot distance behind a line. You have a requirement to have a switch or rear cross behind a line. And there are some other requirements that the chances class has that are unique to NADAC. And so chances is what makes NADAC different too. At any, not talking about kind of the big distance, um, but if you want to get a championship in NADAC, you are going to have to be able to do those minimum distances that are done in elite chances, um, which are pretty big in comparison to, things like fast in AKC, or you can't chew on that right here, or not or gamblers in UKI, um, which I've done, and like jackpot in CPE, which the distances are much n- not as not as big distance and different, and not requirements in terms of NADAC. It's a numbered course behind a line, and in jackpot it is too, and I guess in UK gamblers it is too. Um, so the numbered course behind the line, but again, it's a big line. It's um, minimum of 20 feet. And usually it's more than that because judges are mean. Um, no, they're not. Judges are nice, but sometimes they're mean in chances. Um, so then back to the games classes. So those are your Natch classes. Your games classes are, we actually do gamblers in NADAC, and yes, there is a line and there is a numbered course in it. But it's not as bad as chances, is what I will tell you. The distance in gamblers is not as bad as chances. We also have grounders, which we talked about in part one, which is hoops, barrels, and tunnels. We have, which is great for older dogs who you no longer want to jump or do high impact like contacts, but they can still run around and have fun and be handled and do the teamwork and even do big distance if you want to, but it lowers the impact. There's also touch and go, which looks a lot like a regular agility course, but there are no jumps in touch and go. There are hoops. Um, and there are no weaves in touch and go. Um, and it's meant to be a really fast course with discriminations. Um, often, often you see the contact tunnel discrimination in touch and go. And yeah, it's really fast, and it's run the same course at all levels in touch and go. So novice, open, elite will all have the same course. You just have a different amount of time to finish the course. Um, um, I don't remember if are there any other games? Oh, Weavers. So Weavers is obviously weaves, and tunnels and hoops. Um, you do NADAC. You chair NADAC trials. Remind me what the other games are. Are there other games? Did I miss any?
I mean, those are the only ones we've had at trials.
Okay.
So if there are, I don't
I'm
know the
sure like we're
dates.
missing something super obvious and I can't think about what it. Oh, tunnelers. Duh.
Oh, I
There's
thought you said that one
tunnelers.
already.
Oh, did I don't remember if I did or not. Okay.
I don't think.
There's
I think that was part one.
okay. Well, also there's tunnelers, and tunnelers obviously is all tunnels.
It is very
The
fun.
other thing that I was going to say that makes NADAC different is a couple things. One, it is a good luck venue, which means when you step to the start line, your dog is on leash. You have to wait for the judge to say good luck before you can take your leash off. Um, and you have to leash your dog before you leave the ring. So that's a little bit different in terms of the process of getting in and out of the ring, which can change your protocols. And then the other thing that's different is there are no refusals in NADAC. So if your dog runs past the jump but doesn't take it, as long as they didn't take it off course, you can come back around to take that jump and there's no fault. It's just time. Um, and yeah, so there are no refusals. Now, however, that is in regards to running like kind of standard in any division or class. If you are running the bonus box, which I'm sure we'll talk about eventually, and you're not in flow, which means you would have a refusal, you don't get the points for that sequence. So you have to be in flow. You can't have refusals and do bonus box work. You can still queue, you just won't get the extra points for doing the distance.
Gotcha. Um,
Oh, that is
the
also
other
what
fun.
makes that is also what makes NADAC different is the bonus box program.
I was gonna say they also have to run naked, which just means no
Oh
collar,
yeah,
no
you have to
harness.
run naked, no collars. Yeah, no collars allowed in NADAC. Um, and then yeah, so what the other thing that I think that really truly makes NADAC different is the bonus box program. And this is at the elite level in every class. There is a distance line or box set on the floor, like an area set on the floor that's outlined by whiskers or tape that they put on the ground. And it's usually about a 20 by 20 box square or rectangular area. Sometimes it's just a line across the front of the course, and that's always really challenging, but it's always challenging regardless. And the goal of the bonus box program is to handle the entire course. You put your dog on the start line, you walk over to where the taped off area is, and you handle the whole course from that bonus box. And originally you had to do the whole thing. Now it is set in sequences, so um, you earn points by sequence. So like obstacles 1 through 6 is one sequence, and then it might overlap 6 through 10, and then 10 through 15, and then 15 through 20. And you have to get 3 sequences while you are in the box and the dog is in flow, so no refusals. And of course, it has to be a queue in general, um, but you have to have 3 sequences to get a bonus to earn a bonus, which is a certain number of extra points. If you do it with a certain speed, so if you meet a certain speed benchmark, you get a certain number of points. If you're under that speed, but you still got the sequences, then you get some fewer points, but still bonus box points. If you get 2 sequences, it's called a distance challenge, and you get, again, if you're over 100 DRI, which is a certain yards per second, then you get a certain number of points. And then if you're under the 100 DRI, but you still got 2 sequences, then it's like 10 points or something extra.
And I'm just gonna clip all of that when I eventually do the NADAC 101 video and just
There you go. Just, yeah,
there
just
we
take
go.
that.
I'll have
There
to
you
be
go.
that part of the video.
And so you can earn extra points. So you can earn a 30-point queue, for example. And it also means that you rack up champion titles a lot faster. Um, and they also have 3 different divisions devoted to what they call stakes. So the bonus box program at championships is called stakes, and there are 3 stakes divisions. There's starter stakes, which is the easiest division of the distance, handling the course from distance, and the taped off area is quite large that you get to run from at champs. Then there is silver stakes, which is the second hardest level, which is definitely a lot more challenging. And then there is super stakes, and just go find a chair to sit in and learn to handle a course from sitting in a chair, because super stakes is like
That's
you have
honestly a
very
good
little
example of
room.
it.
And it's funny because you have very little room, and when people think of distance work, they often think that we're not moving, that we're like standing and like just pointing, but you move a lot when you do distance. You just have to learn to move in place. And depending on your dog, like Dex, I can make a lot smaller movements and still get the big distance and get it accurate. Andy, I can get huge distance with him, but it's like standing in place doing an interpretive dance. I have to really move and really show him movement. And I can do it, but I have to stand in place so that I can get the points. So I've been learning how to, it's a good thing that I have a history as a dancer, um, because I'm literally learning to do these like dance in place to show him where to go. Because if I stop my movement, he will stop. Because again, his gas pedal like has to be pressed down to the metal all the time to get him to move. So stakes, I think, is a big thing that makes NADAC unique. And it's also like if you really want a challenge, um, it's definitely challenging. But it's super fun because like when you finally like when you're doing something that's huge distance with your dog and you're 70 feet away and you're getting them sequencing, it's like you're connected, and like my teammate is way out there but they understand me, and it's really a cool feeling.
We've got a few people who always try at our local trials, and it's so fun to watch, especially when it finally clicks.
Yeah.
And everybody gets really loud because we all know how difficult that is to train.
It takes a lot of bravery to step up, to put your dog on the start line and walk over to the bonus box. It just that action
Because it's
alone
almost
takes.
never near the start line.
Oh, it's yeah,
It's
no.
usually like in
You're
the
always
middle
like,
of the ring.
but it's also like it's just going, I'm gonna try, and like that aspect of having the bravery to just step away and say, I'm gonna try. Um,
Please stay, please stay, please stay, please stay, please stay.
um, yeah. You have to have a start line to do bonus box, which might be why Moss will never might never. Although, like, because they're in sequences, theoretically you don't have to be in the box the whole time. You
I've
you
heard
only have
about
to do a
that.
certain number of sequences. Um, that said, I've tried the strategy last year with Andy of like, well, I only need 2 sequences, so if I can get back in the box by the time I do this, that like just doesn't work. Like taking one step out of the box to just provide a little support, no problem, you can get back in. But like you're generally not. I say this, but I did it with Moss a few weeks ago. Most of the time, you're not going to be able to work your way back into the box. That said, there is the rare occasion where you might find yourself in the box and be able to stay there. Roger's course from July, I
Mhm.
ran that with Moss a few weeks ago, And just from the nature of the fact that your path goes through the box, and by the time I was there, Moss was like happy and running, and I didn't like, so I sent him into the tunnel. I was in the space that I needed to be in. When he came out of the tunnel, he was going and had, pedal to the metal. So I didn't have to keep going with him, and I was able to do the last two sequences from the box. That's pretty
Nice.
unusual though. It's like pretty like it just happened to be the right design, and the box was in the right place that happened.
That's fun. So we've mentioned it a couple times. You do have your own training group, training business words, uh, called Forward Focus Agility,
Yes,
and you do have a Patreon for that. How
we
exactly
do.
does that work?
Um, so how it works is there are a few different levels. There is a free level, and you can join, become a member for free. And there you get to view my journal of working with Moss through all of his reactivity. So that's completely free. And I think I'm going to be doing a case study webinar on Moss eventually. Um, but so there are different offerings there that are for free. There's a monthly training tutorial for free as well as part of the free membership. And then so then there's some different things too. Then there are a couple of paid levels that are, I think, um, you know what? Let me just like, can you still see
Just
me
pull it up.
if I just pull it? Yeah, I was gonna say like just pull it up and I can tell you what the membership levels are. Um, because of course, so then there is a $10 a month level. And so that gets you access to basically all the content that's behind a paywall, some all the video tutorials, Andy's weave retraining program, which is how I got the super big distance that he has on his weaves now. So that is a retrain. But then also there is a separate program called Armchair Weave Warrior, which is me teaching Dex from the ground up his weaves, using a lot of the tactics that I used in fixing or retraining Andy, and assessing mechanics and different exercises the dogs needed to learn to build the muscle memory to weave properly and always weave fast. Um, so that's all the back to basics. There's a monthly live stream Q&A. You can download training plans and instructions, and the community chat. You get access to everything. There's a level above that is $25 a month, and that includes, so that's just everything that you just had, but it includes 10 minutes of video review each month. Um, and then if you want one-on-one coaching and a one-on-one training plan, that's $150 a month. Uh, yeah, I think even at the back to basics, the $10 a month level, you get a lot of content. Um, the There are different collections. There's a thing on tunnel drive and working with tunnels and in and out of tunnels and lots of tunnel exits and entrances, but also how to think about diagrams, for example. And you've seen some of the graphics and things that I did, right? So there's graphics and diagrams to kind of explain what's happening when your dog strides and where they're going, and when they're committing and when they're not committing, and or when they're turning or when they're in collection, and how to time your cues properly, especially with the distance work that I do. Timing is, crucial to being able to not have a refusal or just stay in flow. So it's definitely, I think, a really good value. You'll see lots of the tutorials to see the mistakes that I make. You'll see how I fix them. Um, and you get to travel along the journey with me, with Moss and his, you know, continuing to work through his reactivity, working with, I don't talk enough about my off-breed dog, Andy. I mean, and I think that is a really big draw, is that I'm not going to show you just working through this with my border collie who can do everything in his sleep when he was born. you know, I show it working through with my pit bull mix, Andy, and his motivators, which, and his, I think one of the things that through my journeys, particularly when Andy came into the picture, and I finally realized he wasn't a border collie, and I couldn't teach him like a border collie, and I had to figure out what motivated him, and I had to figure out, how just so many of the things that I had to figure out that no one could help me with. And it's not that there weren't trainers out there who couldn't help me, but there is a in there are people out there, but there is also a lack of availability of being able to see. Like, I couldn't find anyone else running a dog like Andy. And there's like very few people. Like, yeah, TikTok is wonderful because now we do get to connect with people. But I'm going to tell you, my feed in general is people running border collies and um, Aussies and um, Malinois and healers. The pit bull mix that comes across my feed is. Have I ever seen a pit bull mix besides mine come across my feed? No. I've seen Melinda's Hopper. I've seen a hound mix come across. And like occasionally, and then like when I post my "Can you do it with a pit bull" series, people will say, "Oh, hey, I do it," and then they come out and I see their stuff. But it's not so much out there, and you want to see someone running a dog like you are running. It is different, and there are some great platforms out there. I love Fenzi. I did some of Susan Garrett's stuff for a while, and um, what I will say is that they will often demonstrate with, a bully mix or another like shelter or rescue dog, or but then you never see them going through the steps of preparing that dog to actually trial. um and that's not to deflate or put down or in any way. That's not their goal, you know um but I think that's where we have a need, is that I needed to see someone trialing a bully breed. And I was lucky that I met and made a friend, my friend Michelle, who runs Staffordshire Terriers, and they are amazing little dogs. I actually ran into someone last weekend who was also running a Staffy, a full, purebred Staffy, and they're just so far few and in between, and we all know each other because eventually we finally find each other, and like we know each other, and
Like,
so
yay!
but the thing is, there are so many more of us. It's just that they don't have someone to look to,
Right.
to go, what does this look like for me? And then they get stuck in a place because there's something that's kind of specific to that breed, group of breeds and situation that they need help with, that and they need support with. They need someone who understands too. Like, it was so helpful to me to just like sit at trials with Michelle, my friend Michelle, uh,
Different from my Michelle.
not healer Michelle, Staffy Michelle, who, and like I would sit and I would talk to her, and like she knew what I was talking about with the terriers, you know, and and I can sit with border collie people and I can talk about things that Dex does, and they get it because it's a breed, and they
Yeah.
understand those ten mossy,
Speaking of,
um, and and even there are the people with reactive dogs, and I can sit with them, and then we talk about things with reactive dogs like Moss. But so I think I'm really hoping, if you have a rescue or a shelter dog and it's your first dog or your second dog, or I don't know, your 20th dog, but you're needing to have that community of people who understand some of these differences and some of these nuances in working with off breeds. Um, I think we're a space for you. Um, I think I am a space for you and a resource for you,
I love
um,
that.
because
It also makes me giggle because Crufts has the category ABC every year. Anything but a collie.
Yes.
So it's to show all the
So,
not standard dog breeds that do run agility.
well, and the thing is, I try and do hard things with Andy. I don't go, well, he's a pit bull. He can't do what a border collie can. I go, no, he's a pit bull, and we're going to figure out how to do what the border collies do, and we'll do
It'll
it
work.
our own way, but we will do it just as well. And I had a friend at Champs in 2024 ask me, like, wouldn't you like a class for like no border collies so you don't have to compete against the border collies? And my response was no, because occasionally I beat you, and that makes me happy that my pit bull and I beat all the border collies, because that third place right there, I bet beat a whole bunch of border collies in round 3 at Champs in 2024. So I'm like, I no, that's okay. I'm not going to beat you every time, but occasionally I'm going to. And then I'm
It's,
going to crow over you. And she's a good friend, and she's like, absolutely, you should crow over people who beat me. Um,
there's a level of satisfaction to it.
well, and that's like, I started the whole can you do it with a pit bull? Um, and it's really fun, like taking stuff from Agility World Champs and going, okay, I'm gonna see if Andy can do it. And Andy's had a lot of training, and I have worked really hard to demonstrate that I can do all the things that I can do with a border collie with this dog and do them in trial. And that's not to say that everyone should go out and get a bully breed and try and do really big distance with them, because I think you're going to be miserable. You've like it's a practice and failing. It's a practice of failing all the time. But I enjoy it personally because I like that challenge, and we have fun together and we keep it fun. But and I'm not saying go do that, but what I am saying is that you don't have to settle for my dog is this breed, he can't do it as well, or his weaves are always going to look this way, or he's never going to be able to send out there and do that kind of distance so that I can get in place. Um, I think your limitations with your dog, with all medical and health things being equal, are simply as much as you want them to be. Um, some things take more work than others, but if you're willing to go down that journey of figuring it out with your dog, you can do it. The Patreon is Forward Focus Agility. Again, just come and join for free, and come meet me there, and let's have some fun. And then if you want some help, it's there too.
And on that, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you had as much fun as I did.
I did. I always have fun talking about my dogs. I'm just like waiting for someone all day long to ask me about my dogs so I can talk about them.
And that could be a t-shirt.
Ask me about my dog. Don't ask me about my dogs. That should be the t-shirt. Don't ask me about my dogs unless you want to spend an hour listening to me.
I don't see a problem with that. All right, we're going to end it here. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you have an awesome rest of your day.